Search of the way out of our security woes continues. Now, the search for a lasting solution. President Muhammadu Buhari met with heads of security agencies and some ministers at the presidential villa in Abuja. The meeting was convened after recommendations by the National Council of States to seek ways of addressing this country's security challenges. Babajide, yes, it's not a new thing for the president to be meeting with security chiefs, and there's always this meeting, very crucial meeting, with all head of all the Nigerian Armed Forces, and everybody will come together, National Security Advisor, Minister of Defense, and what are they going to do that is different from what they have been doing now after the Council of State meeting?
That is the million-dollar question. The president said he's going to be more ruthless with terrorists and bandits. We want to see the plan rolled out. We want to see in concrete terms the steps that will be taken, and we want to begin to see those steps yield dividends. Nigerians are tired of these soundbites. President wants, the president meets with service chiefs. Now, to what end? That's the question that people will ask. To what end? What are we going to see differently? Because Nigerians desperately need to see a change in the situation. Even some of the places that we thought were safe, that these days we are recording all kinds of nasty experiences in those places. We can't have a nation that will be held by the jugular by miscreants. It just shouldn't happen. And the earlier we show to these guys that they are not bigger than the state and that the state will crush them, the better for everyone. It's important for the president to make sure that the service chiefs, the NSA, and other people connected with security, especially at the federal level, come together and devise a plan, a winning strategy. Because it's that winning strategy that we are not seeing. There are steps that we have suggested on this program, like having a coordinated military campaign against bandits in the contiguous states. I have suggested this so many times, and we had the governor of Kaduna State also saying the same thing, that anything short of a coordinated, simultaneous military campaign against them will not yield the dividends. Because once you launch an attack here, they will run away, enter another place, another state, where we have forests linking all the way. You can move, link forest, one forest to another, all the way from Niger State to Breningwari up to Kebbi State, up to Sokoto, up to Zamfara. So how do you then think that piecemeal military campaign can solve the problem? No, they will keep escaping. And the more they escape, the greater the potential of them even becoming bigger and bigger, because those of them who are angry will move out from a group and form their own, making it very difficult to pin them down. And then their leaders, we must identify their leaders and take them out. We know the leaders already, but how many of them have we taken out? You can imagine Truji granting media interviews.
Now,
did he not grant interview to the Trust TV? Hour-long interviews. What the hell? So are you surprised that people are singing his praise? In fact, in the song, the guy was comparing him to the elephant, that the elephant is the king of the desert. That's a terrorist, a bandit. Until we take decisive steps, it's those steps that I want to see. As I was coming here, I was reading that in Gaydam, Boko Haram entered Gaydam again. This is a town where they once sent our people packing, and some of them ended up in Niger Republic. They entered Gaydam and slaughtered 10 people, with knife, because they found them in a brothel. and then they set ablaze government school. So it's still the problem of insecurity that has to be addressed. That's the biggest problem confronting the government, and the government must find that solution.
This government looks powerless, as in the kind of seem they are overwhelmed, and even Bishop Martin Coker, the Reverend Father of the Bishop, Catholic Archbishop of Sokoto, it's actually made mention of it, and the spokesperson to the government, they took on him, and it was as if it was a personal thing, and the way they replied as Martin Coker, as if he wasn't saying anything, he was saying something far from reality and far from the truth.
Well, you see, the truth of the matter is that when you are cocooned there in Aso Rock, or you have any relationship with Aso Rock, it seems as if you are blinded to the reality that is in the outer
far away
world.
from reality.
Yes. Just as you have said, Father Coker has not said anything new. And I'm amazed. We were discussing it somewhere today. I'm amazed that the government spokesman even had the temerity to reply
responding to it.
I mean, the man has said the stark truth. All you needed to have done is either not to say anything or to even ignore and let it boil over. Now, to the meeting that the president is holding or has held today with the security chiefs, I think it is only for the media mention. And I will be damned if tomorrow any editor worth his salt will put it on the front page, because it has become a routine thing. The president holds security meeting, tells the service chief, don't do this, don't do that. The next day, something was
marching orders.
Exactly. And all to what effect?
The riot acts.
All those things don't matter anymore. What Nigerians require is for actions to be taken. How many times it's just like you run a newsroom and there is fire in Apapa, and then the editor will now summon reporters that go to Apapa and go and cover it. No editor will summon because the reporter, the first thing to do is to go there. So if you come back and you don't have a story, your job is gone. So what happens when there is crisis somewhere? They say the president has directed the Inspector General of Police to go. What direction does it need? Does it need to be told what is to be done? Look, we are tired of all these holding meetings. It's like what the late Olarotimi did in one of his plays, holding talks. You sit down and start talking until the problem overwhelms you. That is where we are today. The Boko Haram thing and the kidnapping started like a small bushfire. But because no actions were taken, it became a nationwide thing, and it became a cankerworm and a cancer that we are fighting seriously now. Something that we should have curtailed when it was small. We refuse to curtail it. It has grown now. You are now summoning service chiefs and minister of this and that every time. To what end? Nigerians are tired of this.
An impartial delivery of justice to be guaranteed, the temple of justice must live above board. The Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN Justice Ibrahim Tanko Muhammad, has warned judges to shun unmerited wealth, vainglory, dishonesty, disposition, and ostentatious lifestyle in order to avoid running foul of the law. The CJN said the National Judicial Council, NJC, will fish out bad eggs in the system and show them the way out. The CJN, just reading the Riot Act to unmerited wealth, vainglory, dishonest disposition, and ostentatious lifestyle. All these attributes should not be credited to a judge or an upright judge.
They are actually like vices. Such vices are not to be identified with people who are supposed to be above board. The late Justice Anthony Aniagolu described judges as God's representatives on earth. because God cannot come down and decide cases by himself. God cannot come down and decide who is just from a pack of unjust people. So he needed the judges to act more like mediators between him and mankind. And for that reason, a judge has to be above board. If you are the sort of person who likes money, who wants to be seen at Owambe parties, then that job is not for you. A judge should rarely be seen. That's the way it should be. They should not be found at parties. They should not mingle with people of shady character, because the CJN also talked about that they should not find them in the company of unwholesome people.
Oh, you should hardly hear them outside the
talk
courts.
about them.
They don't
Yes.
talk.
Even with their faces, you should not even know what they look like. Until recently, I didn't know how Justice Augie looks like. The wife of the late Nigerian diplomat. She's a Supreme Court judge. I didn't know how she looked like. I saw a picture and said, wow. So this is the way this woman, until recently. Bulkachua, before she retired, we didn't see her face anywhere. That's the way it should be. Judges who like money, people who like money, they should not do that job. I was reading the report of the U.S. State Department, where they were saying Nigerian judges are constantly under pressure from the executive and the legislature to bend justice, to twist justice, and they also said that they were fond of taking bribes. That's the U.S. Department X-raying our judiciary. And what that should tell you is there is a need for the NJC to do a lot more work. We've seen the NJC receive petitions about corrupt judges. They will not act on time. They will wait and wait and wait. And ultimately, some of those judges will leave the system. And after they've left the system, that is when you will now hear that the NJC has indicted them. What were you waiting for? Why didn't you indict them before they left office? And when you now check, you will see that that petition had been with them for ages. That's not how to clean up the judiciary. The CJN can threaten to do this, threaten to do that. We have to see action. We have to see action, because these people, look at some of the kind of judgments that we are even seeing. Courts of concurrent jurisdiction, trying to invalidate judgment by one another. I mean, it's wrong. They know what is right, but deliberately they will do what is wrong. Look at how can a judge in Birnin Kudu, Jigawa State, be deciding over an Anambra matter in our country. It's happening. So the judiciary has to purge itself. No one can purge the judiciary except it purges itself from within. And only somebody who is above board, somebody who has even-handedness, someone who truly fears God and remembers that one day he's going to meet his maker, is that kind of person who should sit in judgment over other people. Anything short of that, look, we are wasting time.
And sometimes we go beyond this morality and the people who want to even look at even the conduct of their conducts and their work. Somebody was yesterday talking about the case of Ojizo Kalu, that that particular case, a judge knows that he has been promoted to the Court of Appeal and he still went to go and preside over a judgment and still gave that judgment, and when the thing got to the higher court, they said you've been promoted on that technical ground.
The one important thing that BK was mentioned, which we should note, is that judges is not as to be a judge in the Nigeria I grew up in. It's like taking a vow of celibacy or a vow that you want to be poor, except what the government service gives you and all that. Because, you know, then there were brilliant lawyers who were given almost everything that come to the bench. They said, no, I want to be a lawyer because I want money. I want to make money. But now, you have lawyers who are eyeing to be judges, not because they are brilliant or not because they want to give any judgment, but because they want to, they know that if they get to
take bribes,
they can take larger chunk of money. The problem we need to solve is, how do we ensure that every one of these people are men of probity and integrity? There are some judges that, you know, when we were growing up, even when they come to church or mosque, they have a particular place they sit, and immediately the church service is over, they disappear into the thin air. I know as a child, well, I was already a young man, in a judge that was in Jos who gave his child out in marriage. He was at the church. Immediately after the church, he didn't come to the reception. It was the wife and his brother or a relation that stood for him as the father of the bride in the, because he knew that if he goes to the reception, there are people who, so I mean, these are things, they are faceless, they are gentle, I mean, but now you see a judge, one riffraff is throwing a party because he has money, the judge is there. He's happy to be photographed and put a splash in the newspaper that, I mean, things have gone haywire.
All right, it is the season of politics and attendant mudslinging and half-truths that come with it. The All Progressive Congress, APC, says the party is yet to decide on zoning and mode of primaries for choosing candidates for the 2023 elections. The APC National Publicity Secretary, Felix Moka, cleared the air after initial reports to the contrary. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has cautioned APC leadership at national and state levels against imposing unpopular candidates on the party. The president wants the party to follow due process in choosing candidates for the polls. In a relative development, the national chairman of APC, Senator Abdullahi Adamu, is blaming former and sitting governors for the crisis rocking the ruling party. Let's start from the mode of primary, Babajide. That yesterday, that it was kind of distorted. We didn't get the full brief yesterday before or after their meeting, till after that meeting, that it became clear that they never discussed zoning or mode of primaries.
Yes, you know, that's why sometimes I even prefer that we discuss some issues 24 hours after. By that time, you have a clearer perspective. You will have been able to speak with so many people about what transpired in the hall, what this person said, what that person said, and all that. Because we live in an age in which people deliberately set out to mislead. They deliberately set out to lie and use the media. And there are politicians too who have no shame. All they do is just call the media and say, look, this is what happened. And the journalists who trust them will then go ahead and slam it on the front page of their newspaper. And from there, other categories of media people will also go and pick it. So in the season that we found ourselves, sometimes you want to wait a little bit more. Since you were not in the meeting, and even reporters were not allowed to come in. So you are at the mercy of people who are inside. Some of them mischievous and deliberate in their determination to mislead. So this was what happened yesterday. I remember on the day some Nigerian newspapers carried the story that APC has zoned the presidency to the south. I delayed the commencement of this program for almost 5 minutes because I was speaking to a governor who was in the meeting. I wanted him to confirm before we went on air so that we will not mislead our people. As it happened yesterday, the APC did not even discuss the issue of the mode of primaries. And it's not enough to simply say that, oh, because 2 days were set aside for the 2 days were set aside for the primary in the notice that they sent to INEC, that it suggests that it's going to be direct primaries. Of course, that is wrong. If it was not discussed, that would be indirect primary. If it was not discussed, there's no reason for the media to go to town and say that it was discussed. And in the end, we misled so many people, Nigerians. But now we are hearing that they are still going to have some meetings where stakeholders will be able to decide on the best mode of primaries.
Already the National Working Committee, the National NEC has transmitted power to the National Working Committee.
That was one of the decisions yesterday.
So the NEC, the NWC now can sit down and take major decisions that NEC will be ordinarily expected to ratify. But right now they can sit down and
they will meet with stakeholders. Each state will get a chance to decide whether it wants direct or whether it's going for indirect, just the way Lagos State decided in 2018 that it was direct that it wanted. Just the way in Osun they decided that it was direct that they wanted. So that is the thing. That decision will come, and people can bet on the fact that it is indirect primaries that the party will go for, because in their thinking, anything short of that could sound the death knell of the party. It could lead to serious fracture of the party, and I'm sure the party leaders themselves are conscious of that. Look, the stakes are high, and because the stakes are high and there are strong aspirants in the race, the best thing is to let everyone go and answer his how do the Yoruba say it?
Father's name.
Go and answer their father's name. Let the person who is the strongest, is this person who is the strongest, that will be the person that the majority of the people want. Let that person emerge in the best interest of the party. And I'm happy that the president himself has said that the leaders should not impose unpopular candidates. So that means that should happen from top to bottom. So from the presidential primaries, don't impose on the party.
The president himself should not impose on the party.
Yes, whatever.
Should allow democracy to
try, because that is what he's preaching. That at every level that should happen. So we want to believe that the way to let the people decide is not to handpick an individual and force others to say they are stepping down for the person. Let the people freely choose their leader. Let the delegates decide that, look, this is the person that we want. Not just a few individuals zeroing in on an individual and then railroad and twist and force feed. You know, when you force feed now, they'll bring a camel and then force feed others to accept that this is the candidate. That's not democracy. And it breeds bad blood.
Yes.
It breeds people crying in public, as we saw at their convention. When you see an adult crying like a baby on the podium, being watched by almost 40,000 people, you know how painful it is. Yes.
Now, looking at this party now, and they've gotten to a very critical stage. It's like make or mar. Now they've written to the Independent National Electoral Commission, and they're going to have in succession houses of assembly election, local government, House of Representatives, Senate, governorship, and the presidential. It's going to be a very, very tough month for all the political parties, not even the All Progressive Congress, but in this, the ruling party, and they fixed the dates and they communicated with INEC. And look, it's going to be something that we've seen like 13 or 14 from the list I saw today, people that have shown their interest so far. to occupy the number one position?
Well, this is a very good time for the ruling party. It is the envy of other parties. Why? A tidy sum of 100 million for presidential candidates. So if you have 13 people, if all those 13 pay, you know how much it will bring to the party. But that apart,
1.3 billion.
But that apart, it is also the situation that will determine the future of the party. The chairman that is blaming former governors and sitting governors for the crisis in the party, he himself was a governor, and he knows what governors always want to do with the party. So being an insider, he should be able to know, and whatever he says should be taken as talking from experience. It is that experience that he will need to manage the affairs of the party at this crucial time. Either PDP or APC, those are the two dominant parties in Nigeria, and the interests, their presidential candidates, or how they conduct their primaries and all that, the way they do it is very, very paramount, and that is why you see almost everybody pays attention to what happens in especially the ruling party. Some years back when it was the PDP, it was the same thing. So now the president's challenge that party leaders should not impose candidates, it's a very good talk, but when the push becomes a shove, are they going to abide by it? Are they going to hold on to it that majority must carry the day? The minority will have their say, but majority will carry the day. And that is exactly what they need to work at. It is absolutely important that the APC should manage its affairs very well, especially at the presidential level, because you see the level of the people that are coming out and the way things are going is going to be a real test of their managerial ability, which they need to display at this time, because the presidential candidates that are coming out or that have come out so far, they have unequal powers, they have interests, they have their power and their weaknesses. So how do you manage such a gamut of interest without rocking the boat of the party? I don't envy Abdullahi, the chairman, Abdullahi Adamu, the chairman of the party. In fact, he is holding that position at the most crucial time for the party. And how he paddles the canoe is what we are all waiting to see.
Well, Senator Abdullahi, being a former governor himself, a former senator now looking at the truth of the matter now staring back at his face and knowing the intricacies and interests power play within the All Progressive Congress.
No, it's even an outsider knows that the crisis within the party now has to do with former governors and incumbent governors struggling for power, struggling for control of the party. What did we see in Osun? It's the same story. Yeah. What do we have in Kano?
Versus Ritola.
What do we have in Kano? Shekarau
versus
Ganduje. They even won in court on at least 2 occasions. But at the end of the day, the Buni-led leadership of the APC said, see, By our constitution, the governor is the leader of the party. Go and work with the governor. Go and work with the governor. Achieve some power share.
Even the last court case, Ganduje won it.
So he told them, go and work with the governor. Look at what is happening in Gombe. Now, there are fears that Dajuma Goje and his people may go and join the PDP. In fact, the PDP has been making eyes at them, have been winking at them, come and join us, so that they can profit from the crisis. When the president talked about the fact that this kind of, that not allowing strong aspirants to contest has led the party to lose in the past, he knew what he was saying. Because even as when he was CPC presidential candidate and leader of the CPC, he remembers what happened in Kano.
Yeah.
When the CPC refused to allow Muhammad Abacha to be a standard bearer. Of course, the people in anger decided to vote against the CPC. The CPC will have won that election with a huge landslide.
That's what led to the emergence of that PDP man.
I don't know who you had in mind. But in the end, that is Kwankwaso.
Kwankwaso.
Yes, that's how Kwankwaso was able to win. He would have been defeated if not for that crisis. You know? So, now, remember what happened in Adamawa. I always talk about it. In advising the APC to always put his house in order, let them learn from history. In Adamawa State, Bindo had a quarrel with Babami Mongoro. Babami Mongoro's structures, he used those structures to win the election. He defeated Atiku's candidate twice. The primary election was conducted twice. Bindo defeated Atiku's candidate twice using Babami Mongoro's, but in the end they quarreled. When they quarreled, Babami Mongoro's son, Abdulaziz Seriki Yama, went and formed Seriki Matasa, or what's his this thing again? I've forgotten. Went and formed his own, went and joined the ADC. I was looking at the result. In the end, Fintiri, who won the election, scored 376,552. Bindo, who came second, scored 336,386.
Very close race.
That was just 40,000. ADC, the party of Abdulaziz Yako, scored 113,000.
So the 43,000 that you...
Meaning that if they had not had that quarrel, that 40,000, it would have overtaken it and won the election convincingly.
Over 90,000.
Yes. Now look at this, that's the thing, they need to learn.
Okay, let me pick my first call. Case Adu is calling us from Owerri.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening,
gentlemen.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Bless you for all the analysis you've given, especially the sincere one as regards to Mr. President's meeting. That is my take. You see, whatever we're doing, the politics we're talking about today, if we do not have a secured environment, everybody's afraid. I've said it the other day that it was in my local government that gunmen attacked INEC officials close to my village. And we're sick and tired of every day Mr. President is having this meeting. Can we have this work done? We are tired. Nigerians are tired. We can't continue every day. These people will come back, drink tea, have meeting at Aso Rock and go home. It is not what we want. We want results on the ground. Mr. President, Nigerians are begging. This is the only responsibility you owe us. In fact, the major one. Do this for us and we all remain happy. Protect the lives and properties of Nigerians. We are not asking for too much, sir. You have the taxpayers' funds.
Thank you for your contribution. I see the passion there. Case Adu from Owerri.
So look at it. He lost the election by only 40,000.
Only 40.
He had the opportunity to reconcile with Babami Mongoro from the beginning. And I warned repeatedly. They saw me as a noisemaker. Some of their supporters were abusing me on social media. But at the end of the day, he paid a heavy price because this ADC would not have scored 113,000.
Divided house.
If not because this person moved there. Even the president knows that how the people like Atiku Bagudu become governor. Atiku Bagudu left the PDP because they were not going to give him the ticket. Or Tom left the PDP because they were not going to give him the ticket. And APC gave them the ticket, and the two of them won. So that is the thing. They have to learn. Don't stop people who are strong from contesting within your party. When you have them, it's an asset. When you stop them and they receive them warmly in the rival party, if you are not careful, you will lose the election.
Used against you. The president wants the party to follow due process in choosing candidates for the polls. You know, this is a season for imposition, for godfatherism. If you know the price is always right, if the price is right, the highest bidder. So cut across all parties.
Yeah, that is why we are saying we hope earnestly that the president will walk the talk. Because if you impose or you place unnecessary hurdle in front of a favored candidate, your less favored candidate, it will bring problem to the party. So it is important that this due process, it should not just be talking about it alone. We must see it in action. We must see that it is done.
Internal democracy.
In fact, that is the word I was looking for. If there is no internal democracy in the party, then what democracy are we talking about?
Okay, Robert is calling us from Abuja. Thank you for joining us, Robert.
Yes, good evening.
Good
I'm happy
evening.
to hear from you.
Go ahead.
The issue is that this 100 million naira they are talking about for to buy ticket in APC is worrisome.
It's still
It's worrisome because the Nigeria of today, with the economic situation of Nigeria, and for people to
Robert, I want to thank you. We're not talking about that today. We're still talking about the All Progressive Congress, but thank you. Our time is fast spent. It's called the most exciting league in the world for many reasons. One of it played out on Wednesday when Arsenal revived their Champions League qualification hope by crushing Chelsea 4-2 in a Premier League match at the Stamford Bridge. By this feat, the Gunners moved up to the 5th place on 57 points. Meanwhile, Manchester United have confirmed that Erik ten Hag will become their new manager at the conclusion of the 2021-2022 season. The Ajax Bulls will leave his current position and become United's 5th permanent manager since Sir Alex Ferguson left the club in 2013. I have my sports correspondent Emmanuel Akindubu joining us. Emmanuel,
good to be here as always, AY.
What happened yesterday?
Me.
What happened yesterday? I thought Chelsea.
Well, it's a battle of who wanted it the most. Great display by Arsenal. I mean, the top 4 challenge was already slipping out of their hands with Tottenham Hotspur having a 3-point advantage, and the fact that Manchester United still have a slim chance of also overtaking them at some point. Both of them were still going to meet at some point in the season, but great response by Arsenal. They failed to win in their last 3 matches. They took it to Chelsea. It could have been more. Scoring first after this defensive error by Christensen, well converted by Nketiah. There was another defensive. And for all the goals that Arsenal scored, it was very, very beautiful counter-attacking goal. It shows how much determination Arsenal displayed in this game. Kudos to them. And you must really tell them, say that they deserve all 3 points from this game.
I don't get. No matter how Chelsea, is on form, no matter how Chelsea is doing well at the intercontinental level and even at the league level, when it gets to Arsenal seems to have the antidotes.
Yes, Arsenal may sometimes appear like a Mickey Mouse team to people, but when it comes to playing Chelsea, the Arsenal is like a lamb against other teams, but against Chelsea, it becomes like a lion. It's like a lamb against other teams, but against Chelsea, an Arsenal team that was beaten easily by Brighton the other day at home, going away to beat Chelsea. Even Chelsea can win all the trophies in the world. They can win all the trophies in the world, but when it comes to Arsenal, Arsenal always finds a way to beat them. Look at even when Chelsea had the current Tottenham coach as their coach, and they were doing very well. He won the league. He did well. During that time, he was always struggling against Arsenal. He was always struggling against Arsenal. So they are both London clubs, and the thing about this kind of rivalry is that form has nothing to do with it. The players explained some time ago. I was reading. He said, when you are playing against the team from the same town, that the rival fans who do not want to lose the bragging right, everywhere they see you, they will tell you, please, just win. You've been playing badly, but just win tomorrow for us. That you are in the mall, people will come, tap you, please, please beat Chelsea for us. No matter what. So, because those are their bitterest rivals, they don't want opposing fans to make too much fun of them. So, and they know that once they're able to win, they will shut those guys up. It's just like last night, the usual noisy Chelsea supporters on social media, a lot of them ended up sleeping under their beds. They didn't come out. They were not tagging.
Vicky had to do that.
Yes, they like tagging people, tagging Arsenal. Yesterday, they were hiding under their beds.
I've not seen Igwe today. I've not seen Igwe.
How about people like Ebelo? Ebelo, where are they today? You know?
Well, in addition to what Vicky actually pointed out, Chelsea have been quite lethargic at home, and it's quite, of course, very disturbing. Brentford came, one of them 4-1. Real Madrid came, won them by 3-1 right there at the bridge, and Arsenal also came 4-2. I really do not understand whether it's the injury that is taking its toll on the team's performance, but it's quite worrisome that right there at home Chelsea have been struggling. But the good thing is for Arsenal, their top four chase is now back on track. Yes, they still have some Herculean tasks to see through after this one. They've got Manchester United, they've got their North London rivals Tottenham to still play against. It doesn't get easier from here. So if an Arsenal fan, yes, enjoy this moment, but it's not yet to huru.
The first four. We're talking about the race for the first four now. It's not clear now. It's not. With this win by Arsenal, it's not clear that they are going to make the continental championship slot.
Arsenal, in terms of its inconsistency, is very similar to Tottenham Hotspur. That's why it's difficult for you to say this is the team that will pick that final spot. But if Chelsea continues to mess up, if they are not careful, they will drop. Because if Arsenal had not lost those matches, by now they will have overtaken Chelsea. Mathematically, they can still overtake Chelsea. So no one can say with certainty that, okay, between Tottenham and Arsenal, that this is the team that will eventually get that last 4 place. But even Chelsea
can still fall aside.
Chelsea can still further go down because they too still have some tough matches. So Arsenal, they did well to hold themselves back in contention for top 4, and I think from now on they will continue to give their best. So as for Man United, I don't see them getting to top 4. I don't even want that to happen, because the team, when the team wins, it papers over the cracks in the team. Let the team end up like 9th position. They will now know that they have a big task, a big rebuilding that they need to do. If they manage to get top 4 now, all of the nonsense that happened in the course of the league, losing to Liverpool, even Salah that had not scored in 7 games found a way to score 2. You know, it takes that shows how weak the team is for somebody who had not been scoring. The last time he scored was for his national team. There's 7 games only to come and score against Man United.
Who is this man, Erik ten Hag?
Well, Erik ten Hag is a Dutch coach. He's famously known for being the man who has orchestrated Ajax's recent resurgence in European football, famously in that 2019 season when they got to the Champions League semi-final, upsetting Real Madrid and Juventus on the road. But is it the right man for Manchester United? I have my doubts.
Why?
Manchester United, like BQ rightly pointed out, is a club with a lot of ego. There's a lot of bust up and faction in that dressing room. Does Eric Ten Hag look like the manager who could actually calm that nerves and bring everybody back on track? Well, yeah, he's a tactical good coach. I mean, from what we've seen from Utrecht to Ajax, but he has not really been tested in the top 5 European league. Yes, he had some stints with Bayern Munich as an assistant coach, but that does not in any way qualify him to be the head coach at Manchester United. But of course, the management at Manchester United have trusted him with that job. Let's see how much success he's going to do. Will he be able to make the big call? Paul Pogba is likely to leave the club. Will he be able to attract the big names that could help transform the club? Will he be able to make a decision on either Cristiano Ronaldo leaving the club or staying? There are rumors saying that he does not even have Ronaldo in his plans. Perhaps he wants to work with the younger players. How much of a success will he be able to achieve with that? And can he cope with the level of competition in the Premier League? Would you be playing under 21 players when you have a Pep Guardiola, a Jurgen Klopp ready to, slaughter you at the slightest opportunity? It's a big call, but let's hope Manchester United can give him time and hope he will get the level of success that will drive him to stay at the club beyond the 3 years he's been offered.
Does Eric Ten Hag fit into your own idea of coach for Manchester United, BKO?
This was the coach I wanted, and on this program I said it that amongst the coaches that have been touted, this was the best, to do that rebuilding, because he is someone who believes in using young players. He will groom them and they will become world beaters. He made a 21-year-old boy captain of Ajax, and he led Ajax to that semi-final. Only it was inexperience that cost them that semi-final match. They will have reached the final of the Champions League. And then he's been known for grooming players, making them better. And Manchester United needs to do a lot of rebuilding. There are players in the youth team who will do a better job than the nonsense that people like Rashford and all those ambitionless players who are not motivated are doing. So there are many players in the team who do not even worth wearing the club. They are not worth the badge of the club. So there has to be a new broom that comes in and then does the rebuilding. They should give him time. I support him.
Cyril Ronaldo?
Well, if it doesn't fit into his style of play, you can't force a coach on a player on a coach. If he thinks that he doesn't need him in the long term, they can sell him. He still has 1 year on the contract. They can sell him, use the money and the wages they pay him to buy new player, because a club like Man U shouldn't be relying on a 37-year-old player. These younger players should be ashamed of themselves. They are not worth the badge. A 37-year-old player is the one digging you out of trouble. Every match is the one that will rescue you. You said it's the problem, but anytime he doesn't play, they will wallop you. You won't be able to score. I know that rebuilding, if once they provide him with the money, that was what Liverpool did with Klopp. There was a time that people were beating Liverpool silly. For 5 years at a point, they couldn't even beat Man U once. Now today, because they were patient with him, and he got more than 700 million pounds during the rebuilding process, he's been able to give them a world beater. So if they are patient with this guy, they are not in a hurry, they are not after money, because the board, the management of Man U, they are crazy about money. That was why they didn't sell Lingard during the January window. It's just money that they're after.
So the first one. BKO has already hit it in the air. The Man City, Liverpool, one of Arsenal or Tottenham should join Chelsea. I think Chelsea would see it through to qualify for the Champions League. My final word on Eric Ten Hag. Well, I share BKO's optimism, but I think it's not going to be an easy part. If he wants to play out all those experienced players, in the rebuilding process, you still need the experience, you still need that belief, you still need that big figure in the dressing room. I hope Ten Hag will not just do that massive clearing out and do it to his own detriment. I wish him all the best, and I hope Manchester United fans can look forward to the new season with some renewed optimism.
Finally, when Ferguson brought him the youth cup, the 1992 youth
class
cup
of
winners,
92.
his class was Post-Coast and the rest of them, they said no. One big Alan Hansen said, you don't win anything with kids. But that is the team that won more than 12 league titles.
1999.
More than 12 league titles for Manchester United. Those little boys then, Dennis Beckham, I mean, David Beckham, all of them, Nicky
The
Butt,
Nevilles.
the winners of the youth team. You know, those were the boys. So let him. There are good players in the.
But a lot of people argue that the level of competition in the league now is more intense than then.
The talent that those guys had, the fighting spirit that they had, the scores of this world. These ones don't even have it. They can't lace their boots. Who is in this current Man United team that you can compare to Paul Scholes as a midfielder?
If you don't,
who can measure up to Ryan Giggs? Just tell me.
As at that time, if the final whistle is not blown,
they are just overhyped players. Overhyped players who stay on social media longer than they stay on the pitch.
Emmanuel Akidibuwa, thank you so much.
Thank you. Always good to be here.
Thank you for your contribution also today, and the master himself.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Welcome to the theater.
Let's hope this opportunity will continue after 6 months.
And that's our offering today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 and join us for Journalist Hangout on Sunday. That's our Sunday special between 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. On YouTube, youtube.com/TBC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Zubaku. See you next week.